Thank you, Neeraj ji. Namaste, Namaskara, Ekal Pranam. We are truly happy to be among such a very dynamic team today. And I had a lot of ideas on what I wanted to discuss or the kind of collaborations we wanted to propose. But I have a small problem. Veena Didi gave us food for soul, and we saw so many achievements, so many, as Ramesh ji said, so many ordinary people doing extraordinary achievements. And I now feel a little like that history teacher in school who's taking extra class during lunch period. So Veena Didi gave food for the soul. Food is waiting outside. I promise I'll wrap this up as quickly as I can. Yeah. So history is an important subject. It's a difficult subject both in school and outside. And some of the reasons we all already know, we have discussed. The history that we study or learn is very much contested. There has been, let's say, an absence or a lack of an Indic perspective. Oh yeah, before I actually begin, I apologize to everybody. My Hindi is a little like Deepika Padukone in Chennai Express, so please maaf kijiyega. And yeah, I do have one question for everyone, and we'll come back to that perhaps later. How many of you liked history when you studied in school? Sach boliye, please. That's great to know. But I think the vast majority will relate to it when I say that in school, history is the most boring subject, and we also feel it's not very relevant. Unfortunate, but that's the truth. And our endeavor at FiHCR is to see how we can make history interesting, how we can bring out Indic history, history of India's story written by Indians and for India of today as well as tomorrow. And ultimately through this, what we want to achieve is to spark that curiosity and pride in all of our youth, the young who are there today and tomorrow, and also the young at heart. Our vision as part of FiHCR is to promote a passion and awareness for India's rich history. Could I go to the next slide, please? These are some of the ambitious goals that we have set for ourselves. We want to, through our work and our initiatives, reach out to at least 500,000 children across India, and also fund research projects and support research scholars. Yeah. Next slide. About us, I think Neeraj ji has already given a very quick intro. We were set up, we can go to the next slide, please. We were set up by Dr. Vikram Sampath. And so one of the problems that we faced when we look at history, the content, of course, we have a lot of biases. There is a colonial or a Western perspective which has creeped into our Indian history, unfortunately. And there is also a gap in diversity. So when we look at the history that is taught in schools, or the mainstream history as we call it, unfortunately it's very focused on certain regions or on certain places or events. And therefore a lot of our own history from different parts of India, and India is a vast country, we have a very long civilization, and we have a depth and a sense of us as people as a continuous civilization. In fact, I believe we are the only surviving Bronze Age civilization today. All the others have pretty much disappeared. So we have that sense within us, but that information just doesn't come out in our textbooks. And let's face it, when we look at history, we only study history as such in school, and then most of us move on to different careers. So for FiHCR, there were two challenges that we identified. One is the content itself, where we felt the need for a more representative, inclusive, and balanced portrayal of Indic history. And the other was the accessibility. So everyone, especially for the common person, it is difficult to go out there, look at different academic texts, or look at inscriptions and figure out what is the truth. When we are asked where is the proof, we don't have access to authentic and verifiable information. So through FiHCR, what we want to do is promote research-backed and fact-based Indic history. Yeah. The next slide, please. We can move on. At FiHCR, we have several initiatives. So broadly, we function in 3 areas. Through our fellowships, flagship fellowships program that my colleague Nitin will explain in a bit. We have our research projects as well, and we function as an advisory. And the ultimate outcome that we want to see through all of this is to seed content for podcasts, for books, social media amplification, workshops, and for all of this, we want to leverage technology as well. Yeah, next slide. I've already explained about the founder director. Dr. Vikram Sampath needs no introduction. He is one person who's a famous historian. He's an author of best-selling historical works, and he has actually reset the perspective that we have towards Indian history. And we have a very strong research team based across India, and we are also supported by a strong advisory board. Yeah. The next slide. Nitin? Yeah, I invite Nitin to just quickly explain the flagship projects that we have, and then we'll move on to how, as part of Yuva, yes, we also have a Yuva program. So we'll explain how, perhaps, we'll suggest ideas on how we can work together, and it'll be an open session where we also welcome your voices and your ideas.
Namaste, everybody. I'm the program manager for projects in FiHCR. So in this slide you see these are the 2 major fellowships that we have. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So these are the 2 major fellowships that we have. We invite people from all spheres and all age groups to apply for these. The first one is named after Sir Jadunath Sarkar. This is a history fellowship, 1-year fellowship. So at the end of 1 year, the selected scholars, we select 5 to 10 scholars every year. These scholars, we will, once the project, it's a very strict tenure, a period. So we do a lot of screening. So once the projects are selected, we'll publish their work as books. So that is the first fellowship. This is for history. It's across different periods of Indian history. We have ancient Indian, medieval, modern, postmodern, and the freedom movement. And the second one is one single fellowship for cultural studies. This is by the Sringeri Sharada Mutt. So this is also called the KSF fellowship, the Kodali Sringeri Mutt fellowship. This is we select one fellow to research the culture of India. So both these fellowships are based on Indic studies, Indian studies. So, can we move on to the next slide, please? Thank you. So the projects that we take up, these are the responsibility of the project team is to check for facts. Whatever work we produce, it's based on facts and they have to be well researched. Yeah. Hello. So the responsibility of the project team is fact checking, and whatever work we take up, they are well researched. So we challenge the prevailing narratives, as some of you know, like the Indian voice is not, we don't, like whatever we are studying, the syllabus, the curriculum and all that, they are all Western based. The current situation is such that the Western studies, Western education is given a lot of preference, but we want to change this. We want to make it Indic-centric, Indian-centric. So Indian traditions, Indian history, Indian culture should be studied. So that is the purpose of having these projects. Currently, the major project that we are working on is Buddhism in Bharat. That is, we are tied up with Nalanda University. So this project is going on, it's been a few months and it will take a year. We hope to come out with 3 books based on this project. We have other similar projects coming up, and we will keep you posted about these projects. So next slide, please. Thank you. The FiHCR projects, we take a holistic approach. These are independent projects. Like we already have these fellowships. So these fellowships, as I've told you already, the fellows that we have selected, we'll publish their works as books. Now these are, there are major and minor projects. Every year we take up at least one major project and one minor project. And these we are for us, public outreach is important. We do this through marketing and communication, and all these projects will be under academic guidance. So we involve academic experts with FiHCR, and these are all interdisciplinary. These are across professions. Like if you have seen the fellowships, we don't select only historians. We select all. We have journalists, we have educators, we have people from all spheres. So yeah, next slide please. So yeah, this is Dr. Vikram Sampath's pet project. I will hand over the mic to Anuradha ji. Thank you.
Thank you. So along with our written records, our oral history and our heritage are also important. So this is an archive of Indian music, which was set up by Vikramji. It's available on SoundCloud for free. Along with music, it also has speeches by Bharat's great freedom fighters and leaders, and anybody can access it. So please feel free to explore this cultural gold mine that's on SoundCloud and share it among the school children or the communities that you work with. Yeah, the next slide, please. So when we keep talking about history, and I can already see that glazed look on everybody's faces, why do we need to study history? Like, there's AI, there's ChatGPT, there's DeepSeek coming in from China. So what is the point? If a child comes up and asks, my own son asks me sometimes, why do we need to study these languages and history? What's the relevance? I want to do science and computer science and become some AI engineer and settle abroad. So history as a subject is supposed to promote historical thinking. Now, what do we mean by historical thinking? It's nothing but the Indic way of thinking of itihas. Itihas literally means that which happened. And what was the purpose of itihas, the way it was transmitted to us? When we look not just at the epics or the kavyas, but also the other stories that we have. We've always had this sense of we should learn and understand from history. We should understand the root causes. We should understand the context in which such an event or such a person behaved. And that is what today we call as design thinking or developing empathy, ethics. So all of these values come to us. So I was listening to Veena Didi when she mentioned that our Purvaj bahut swabhimani the. That sense of swabhiman comes because they are very rooted in our culture. They had the knowledge and the awareness of their own past. I should actually say our own past, because history is actually our story. Unfortunately, that doesn't translate today. There is a lot of disconnectedness. I won't just say it's among the children, it's also among a lot of adults. Yeah. The next slide, please. And that's what we seek to address through our FTS Yuva program. Through the Yuva program, we want to support authors to bring out books year on year, which will cover various historical as well as cultural themes. And when we say historical themes, we don't want more boring textbooks over there. So we will have colorful, illustrated children's books, and there will be the history of different parts of India, whether it's the Ahoms or the Cholas or the Gurjara Pratiharas. So all of these will be brought out in a very child-friendly and exciting manner. And along with that, we haven't forgotten the culture aspect. So in the history textbooks, if you take a child's history textbook, whether it's NCERT, ICSE, anything, they will, of course, mention the names and say Aryabhatta discovered zero, or they will say Kalidasa wrote Meghaduta. But has anybody here actually read the Meghadutam? That's not our fault entirely. It's because it's not accessible or available. So our plan is to also bring classic works like this in an adaptable format, plays by Kalidasa or plays by other great Sanskrit writers, so that they can be adapted into school plays or skits and they're easily readable. Apart from this, we have an approach to also educate the educators. So we will be coming up with workshops for teachers and for trainers, and of course for parents as well, because history belongs to all of us and it shouldn't be gate-kept by just academics. The ultimate goal is to see if we can plug the gaps in history and make it accessible and also spark that curiosity and pride in our children. Yeah, the next slide, please. So some of the things that we want to do as an approach is not just stick with books, we also want to leverage social media. There are a lot of these AI clips. Along with that, we have a tie-up with a virtual reality company which is into Indic history. So that's something where, as Veena ji rightly pointed out, children learn more by seeing and doing and when they are immersed in history rather than just by listening. So that's something that we want to also explore and support Indic content creators. Apart from this, one of the new initiatives that we have, which adds weight to whatever we are doing, is a research survey that we are currently carrying out both in Delhi NCR region as well as in Bangalore. So the study is to assess the state of history education. So again, individually, each of us will have some anecdotes, but as a research report, we want to bring out what is the content that exists, what are the gaps, both in content and the way it is perhaps delivered by the teachers, and then how can we solve these challenges. Yeah, the next slide. So I'm very happy, pardon me. So I'm very happy to present the very first set of the Yuva books. They will be out. Thank you. So these books have been designed with a lot of thought. We've really worked hard with the authors and put some thought into how they can be child-friendly and teacher and parent-friendly as well. So some of the themes that we have, and my personal favorite is the one called Mega Cool Leaders. Don't look at the title, the content inside. So if I have to say, when we think of kings, the great kings, maybe Lalitaditya, Krishna Deva Raya, or any of the great kings or the queens, even Rani Ahilya by Holkar, we only think of them as ruling their people. But this book brings out the seva bhav that they had. They always had the welfare of their people and the way that they learned their ethics and their lessons, and how did they tackle the crisis or the challenges that they had, both in their personal lives as well as when they were ruling their, serving their people. I shouldn't use the word ruling, but in every story that comes out, it's not about when did this king go and fight which kingdom, which war did he win, but more about how do they use their dharma, how do they use their ethics and their values to serve for the welfare of their own people. Apart from that, the other two are about water conservation and the relevance that we have for even today's water challenges. That's from the Vijayanagara kingdom. We have ancient India and the Harappan civilization and their achievements. And of course, one more which is about the merchants and the trade and the influence that we had through the Chola merchant guilds. Yeah, the next slide, please. So just one more interesting information. All of these books are not going to be just in English. The English books are already on Amazon for pre-order. They'll be available by first week of May. But we are also planning to very soon bring out these books in Hindi, in other Indian languages, Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, Marathi, Bengali, and more. So, I mean, if you are interested for your schools and for your community works, I would request you all to consider these books. We also have activities inside which are planned. So these are to be used, let's say the children are on the younger side. Most of these books are meant for maybe 10, 12-year-old kids. But if there is a reading program or a reading activity, even the parents or the other FTS volunteers can actually make use of these activities, games and puzzles to make it interesting even for the younger children. Yeah, the next slide, please. Now we come to the most important part, the essay competition. And thank you to Neeraj ji, Rasu ji, and all the FTS Yuva volunteers who really supported this competition. So as you can see, we had entries coming in from almost all parts of India, 1,500. And all those who are parents here or who have worked with children will know how difficult it is to get children to write even one page, especially post-COVID. So these children, I have to say, every single entry was very good, and these children have really put a lot of thought and effort into it. We had 1,500 submissions, 320 schools across India and 70 cities. Yeah, the next one. So these are just some statistics that sort of give us an insight into maybe some of the good things and also some of the challenges. So if you see, we had almost 30%, 31% of the entries which were about the Taj Mahal. The question or the topic was my visit to a famous Indian monument and what I learned about its history. There's the Taj Mahal, the Red Fort, the Qutub Minar, 5% Konark Sun Temple, and a few others. The 7th grade had my favorite historical figure and why he or she inspires me. So of course we have Rani Lakshmibai, Mahatma Gandhi, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, Abdul Kalam, and a host of others. Yeah, the next one. So 8th and 9th we had ancient Indian innovations and unsung warriors that we didn't learn about in school. So again, I'll let you just look at the figures. So that again gives us a clue of just how much of a gap there is between what ancient India, medieval India, our history truly achieved and what children have actually retained from whatever they have studied and picked up. So we have very little about chess or yoga or Sushruta Samhita, and most of the others were very, very standard innovations. Aryabhatta invented the zero or other things that we mostly know about. The last one is again interesting. We had some very good essays, but I think Alluri Sitarama Raju, thanks to RRR, so that again demonstrates how movies can really, the visualization really impacts. And Khudiram Bose. Yeah. The next slide, please. So we had a very rigorous selection process where we did the first round of filtration to ensure that essays which used a lot of AI or plagiarism were not considered. And after that, it was passed on to a pretty eminent jury panel that was chaired by Amish Tripathi ji and Ashwin Sanghi ji. And in fact, it was at their suggestion that initially we had just planned to have the top 2 prizes from each grade, but we expanded that to award more than 20 children, which represents about 1% of the total entries, because they felt that most of the, there were a lot of very good essays which went beyond just looking at English, grammar, structure, and they also had a kind of personal reflection or a lot of unique or new interesting information. Yeah, the next one, please. So please clap for all of the FTS school winners. These are the 4 winners that we have. So that represents 150 participants from across all the FTS schools and the chapters. And there are 4 winners who are in the top 1% category. So they are the winners who will be felicitated on 24th of April, Thursday. So all the Bangalore chapter folks and everybody else who is here, you're all welcome, you're cordially invited. Yeah, the next slide, please. So some of the things, and this is where it gets interesting because we would like this to be a collaborative thing. These are some ideas that we have on how we as 2 organizations, FiHCR, which is focused on the research, and FTS Yuva, which is more grassroots, and both being passionate about Bharat, what is it that we can do together to promote Indic history? So a couple of things that we could work on immediately are maybe setting up reading programs as a sustained reading club, a book club, or a reading program in the small, I wouldn't say schools, but also all of your chapters, your community events. And not just our books, we can suggest more books which are about history-themed topics written by several other authors. Those can be read, because the advantage of doing this is even children who don't have a reading habit can pick up. It becomes a very engaging and interesting experience instead of one more book to read. Another, I would say, an initiative that we launched, we try to get archaeologists, historians, authors, and different people who are in different spaces in history for an informal chat on Instagram through our Insta Live sessions. So again, different FTS chapters can probably participate, because one of the issues with history where they don't see the relevance is also because if you study history, what can you do after that? You just become a history teacher, right? What are the career options out there? What else can you do? So by participating in these are usually held once a month. So they are free to join and participate either online or even feature. And that would be an interesting way for children to actually interact. So apart from this, 2 more initiatives that we plan for the future and the next couple of years. So along with our storybooks, we plan to bring out also supplementary books which can be used in schools. And what we want to do is also support trainers and teachers through workshops, seminars where there will be some seminars where parents could also participate in. And apart from that, a history club. So this will be an activity that we promote among schools directly, where they can have an after-school club just to discuss and have activities centered around history. We will be supplying newsletters, suggesting games, books, and anything else that could make history come alive. So this is the slide that basically, if you have ideas, please feel free to share, not immediately. I know lunch is waiting and I've been holding you back, but at any point, please feel free to reach out to us and suggest more ideas from your side. The next slide, please. So this is our team. I think we can move on quickly. These are our advisors, and these are the collaborations that we have. We are supported by the Ola Foundation. We have tie-ups with the Nalanda University, the Satya Sai University, and a couple of others. Yeah. You can go on to the last slide. Thank you so much. Thank you, Neeraj and everyone. And before I leave, I just wanted to congratulate everyone at FTS Yuva. I can see the achievements that you have, and it's not easy. So I think, as Ramesh ji said, ordinary people doing extraordinary things can only happen when you're united by this sense of service and seva bhav. So congratulations to everyone, and our best wishes for FTS Yuva to grow by leaps and bounds. Thank you.